while those implicated are facing consequences.
The capacity when the incident happened, there were only 3 specialized psychiatrists. We've increased that from 3 to 8. We've also put additional 12 nurses to the total of 105 nurses that are dealing with this particular task. We've now assigned 9 permanent securities that are now stationed permanently.
Gauteng top cop Van Nkosi has blamed human error for omitting a link between Deputy President Paul Mashatile and controversial businessman Vusimuzi Matlala from his testimony. Nkosi is back before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today. In October last year, Nkosi's home was raided by police who were looking for Matlala's credit card. After the raid, Nkosi made a handwritten statement to police saying Matlala once called him asking for the card back because he was meeting with Mashatile and Deputy National Police Commissioner Shadrack Sibia. Thabiso Koba reports.
He called me again telling me that he needs a card agent as he was going to meet with the Deputy President Paul Mashatile.
This was Sergeant Van Nkosi reading into record a portion of the statement he gave to police following a raid at his home in October last year. Nkosi has previously been questioned at the Madlanga Commission around why he had Vusimuzi Matlala's black credit card in his possession. In both his statement submitted to the commission and oral testimony, Nkosi has never mentioned the Deputy President Paul Mashatile. Nkosi was asked why he had left out this part of the story.
Human error.
It could be a human error. I can say that what I have stated there, that is what I heard from Mr. Matlala at that time.
Nkosi has denied trying to protect the Deputy President, also adding he doesn't know what the meeting with Matlala was about or if it's ever took place. Thabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
Parliament's Mineral Resources Committee has welcomed the recovery of all 5 bodies of miners who were trapped at the Ikapa mine in Kimberley. This morning, rescue teams recovered the last body from the mine shaft following a mudslide last month. The committee says the families of the miners can finally have closure. Chairperson Mikateko Mahlaule says they have been made aware of the intention by the mine to liquidate following the fatal mudslide. He says the committee will be opposing this application.
We don't think it's a fair process for the mine to have death and then declare liquidation immediately. That sounds and give all the impressions that they don't care about workers and the people who were trapped there.
The inquiry looking into Joburg NPA head advocate Enru Chauke's fitness to hold office has heard that most cases related to the conflict between the Maphumulo and KwaDukuza taxi associations remain unresolved. The inquiry is hearing evidence from KwaMaphumulo Taxi Association chairperson Sphamandla Mhlongo today. It is probing allegations that Chauke acted outside his jurisdiction in the prosecutions of the Cato Manor cases where a number of killings were carried out by police towards persons in the taxi industry. Nhlanhla Mabaso reports.
The Nkabinde inquiry resumed its proceedings with the chairperson of the controversial KwaMaphumulo Taxi Association, Siphamandla Mhlongo. Mhlongo is before the commission to testify mainly about the taxi violence which has engulfed his taxi association and neighboring KwaDukuza Taxi Association. He will also speak about the hits on taxi members which were allegedly carried out by members of the Cato Manor Organized Crime Unit. In his testimony, Mhlongo alleges most of the cases were not resolved.
A husband was shot and killed. The mother managed to survive. She's a member now of the executive committee, of my executive committee. The case was opened. In that case, one person was arrested. There was no prosecution. It's just one instance that I'm making reference to.
The proceedings are continuing. Nhlanhla Mabaso, Eyewitness News.
And in the UK, London police are investigating an arson attack on several ambulances belonging to a Jewish volunteer rescue operation. Police say they are treating the incident as an anti-Semitic attack. Earlier today, residents in the northern suburb of Golders Green say they were woken up by loud explosions as dozens of firefighters rushed to the area. According to reports, police have confirmed they are looking for 3 suspects allegedly involved in this incident. No injuries have been reported and all fires have now been put out. Gold is trading at $4,227.99 an ounce. The rand is at 17.21 to the dollar, 22.84 to the pound, 19.80 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $114.05 a barrel.
Midrand, bumper-to-bumper traffic heading towards Centurion. This is on the N1 northbound between Allendale and New Road. There's also slow-moving traffic. Actually, expect about a 20-minute delay in the Bedfordview area heading towards Germiston N3 southbound between Linksfield Road and Van Buren.
It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with scattered showers and thunder showers. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 24 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN this hour, Gauteng Premier Pangazali Sufi says government has started implementing recommendations from the Health Ombudsman following the deaths of 2 patients in the province.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Good afternoon and welcome to 702 Afternoons. My name is Komotsawa Modisa. I'm in for Relebogile Mabotja this afternoon. Welcome to the show. It is 8 minutes past 1. It's so lovely to be in your company. Happy Monday. Sadly, the weekend is a thing of the past. But you know what? We are grateful to be here. So, yeah, I'm choosing to smile today. Coming up on the show, we begin with our movies and what to stream. And I'm really looking forward to today because we're going to be discussing a feel-good story about a production company that recently premiered a Chivenda film. It's called Great Tendi, and the film is produced and shot in Venda, Limpopo. It's so exciting to see some of your favorites who were on shows like Mwango, part of that show. So I'm looking forward to that chat. And then we go to our travel feature. Now, today's not just any travel feature. It's a big day because today we're giving away an all-inclusive beach getaway for 2 thanks to Club Med. Remember how last week we had finals who won a shot at the getaway, and today they get to find out, we all get to find out who this lucky winner is. I don't know who they are, but I'm already jealous of them. We're going to be getting to that in just a bit, and I hope that you are looking forward to finding out who of our 5 contestants are going to be the lucky winner. And then in the second hour, we talk parenting. We talk about raising confident kids, tackling maths anxiety. It's an important conversation because year in, year out, we hear how our children, both in primary school and high school, are struggling with maths. In fact, data now is showing that children are avoiding mathematics. And so I'm looking forward to that conversation. How are you as a parent finding ways, creative ways to tackle math anxiety and make your child more confident when it comes to maths? And then we wrap it up with our all your science questions. Of course, it is the day where we have the Naked Scientist. That is the afternoon show today. On the team this afternoon, Abele is our technical producer in studio. The lovely Pachida is taking your calls, and Relebogile is watching your traffic. Mbali Dlamini has your news. To join the conversation, dial us on 011-883-0702. Alternatively, send us a WhatsApp on 072-702-1702. If you want to send me an X or get in touch with me on X, my handle is @Motso_Modise. Thank you so much for tuning in. Welcome to the show.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
So coming up, we're announcing the winner of the all-inclusive beach getaway for 2 worth 70,000 Rand with Club Med South Africa on 702. It's the grand finale, and it's so exciting because we've been building up to this all week, and we get to find out who of our lucky contestants are actually going to be walking away with the prize. Our finalists are in studio with us today. Stay tuned to find out who will walk away with the prize. T's and C's and more on primemediaplus.com.
702.
Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
It's 7:02 afternoons, and it is a Monday morning. Afternoon. It's afternoon, not a morning. It's a Monday afternoon, and I hope that you're settling in well. It is a new week, and of course, we need to get through the Monday first. I always joke, once we have Monday out the way, then we can get on with the rest of the week, and it does get better as the week goes on. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I hope you got a bit of rest in all of it. I know how with weekends, hey, we pack them because we think we don't have an opportunity to do everything we want to do in the week, and then we end up not really resting. So I hope that you got a bit of rest this weekend. So there's this conversation. I have been seeing a lot from my friends actually and in my circles around language and the words that we're using in our conversation. So I'm going to give you a bit of background. So a friend of mine likes to say, irregardless of, irregardless, and we always come back to her and we say, no, it's not irregardless, it's regardless. And yesterday, I actually saw a video of a lady who said, you need to allow people to use South African slang the way that they want to. Irregardless has become a South African word, okay? It might not be correct. It might not be an actual term. But you know what? It's become part of our lingo. And we were laughing about this because, quite frankly, there's a number of phrases that we use that are signature phrases for us as South Africans. Nowhere else in the world do they use them. No one else says them the way that we do or uses them in the same way that we do. But they've become part of our DNA, right? And so I've been thinking, well, what's the most confusing South African phrase that you've had to explain to someone or has been explained to you? And we've got those regular ones that we use without even realizing that they are South African phrases or terms, and they're woven in our conversation, right? I know that now is a popular word, right? I'll get it for you now. Right. And it doesn't necessarily mean now. We also say just now. I think South Africans also say just now a lot. And it doesn't necessarily give you an indication. I mean, it definitely doesn't mean at that moment, but it means I'm going to get it done in a bit. Okay, so relax. But I know that there are many others that are similar. And I want to hear from you, right? There are some that are not necessarily the correct use of the language, but they make sense in the South African context, and we all just get it when someone uses it. And I want to hear from you. What are some of those terms, those phrases that you've had to explain to someone who's not South African or explain to you? 3 years ago, I was at the Monoprix supermarket in France, in Paris. And I was having a conversation with a friend that I'd met on a residency I was on. It was a fellowship that was really exciting that I went on for 2 months. And while I was there talking to this friend, the lady was from Iraq that I was with. And I said to her, yeah, during the conversation. So I can't remember what we were talking about. And I said, yeah. And then another man walked behind me and said, excuse me, are you from South Africa? And I said, yes. And he said, oh, I could pick it up. And I said, why? And he said, no, because no one says yeah, quite like you do, right? And I only started realizing then that, this is a South African term. It's the use of the South African term, right? Or yeah, I mean, yeah is yes. And I suppose other people in other countries say yes, or yeah. I'm sure if you're American, you would say yeah. But no one says yeah like a South African, or no one says yeah like a South African. So what are some of those terms? I'm taking your call on 011-883-0702, 0702-1702. I have had to learn that some of the phrases that we use, you can't be critical and be academic about spoken language in South Africa, right? So you can't want to come and say, no, grammatically that doesn't make sense, or it's actually not right. Yeah, you can't do that because how we speak is very seldom, and there's a lot in our spoken language as South Africans that doesn't necessarily feed into, or doesn't meet the requirements, I should say, the grammatical requirements. So if you are one of those people that are finicky when it comes to language, you're going to have a difficult time in South Africa. All right. I want to read some of the ones that are coming in through the WhatsApp line because I see they're flying in. Many of you saying, Aish. Aish is a popular one. I've never heard Aish used anywhere else in the world. Or Asan, right? We use Aish and Asan together at the same time. Sometimes another one is you lie. you lie. You're right. I see that that's also coming a lot on the WhatsApp line. And you lie is often used as a way to give. It's an expression, right? So you're expressing disbelief, you're expressing shock. So you lie doesn't necessarily mean the person is actually lying. Okay, if you're speaking to a South African and they say you lie, they don't mean you are lying or you are being untruthful. They are expressing their disbelief, their shock in what you are saying. Another one that I really liked, and this feeds into the tsotsi dal. Someone says when otherwise becomes a greeting with black people. Yes, so people say that a lot. They'll say, sure, and I'll say, sure, abele, and then you'll say otherwise. Right? That's also a popular one. Otherwise, is a popular. It doesn't mean, again, it's used if you're going to be finicky about the language and wanted to meet the requirements of the language and be grammatically correct and be used correctly. You're going to have a problem because there's nothing where otherwise is a greeting in the English language, only in South Africa. Another one that I see is I'm sure. I'm sure she's coming. No, we are not sure. We actually mean maybe. We mean she may be coming, she may not be coming. And I think what this proves really is just how beautifully language can develop, right? And it develops over time. And many of these expressions just weave their way into our spoken language. In fact, I'm of the view that we should have these put together in some sort of our own dictionary. Is there such out there? Like, I'm sure there's a South African slang dictionary. I hope there's a South African slang, South African expressions dictionary for all the tourists. In fact, when they arrive, when they land here at Oratambo, we need to give them that little booklet so that we set them up and prepare them. Because the lingo here, they're going to have a difficult time. I think a book like that would sell really, really well, where we just add all of these South African phrases. I see many of them coming in, even on our Facebook. Someone on Facebook saying now, just now, right now. Yes, that's one that I started with. It's a popular one. And Aish is also a popular one. Hi, bo. Hi, bo. And shame. Shame. Yes, I know shame is one. Actually, I think shame is also one that I've had to explain quite a bit to my white friends, so friends who are not black, who don't really understand how the use of shame is. I mean, in the office, I've got people that understand it, they've used it, they've heard it so much. But I have friends from high school, some friends who are white friends of mine, and whenever I would say shame, they'd be a little like, "What do you mean? What do you mean shame?" Shame doesn't necessarily mean, it can mean a lot. Actually, help me describe shame. Shame is used as an expression of, so sometimes you can be saying shame like, oh, shame, man, right? Poor person. But it can also mean woo shame, like what do you mean? Woo shame. Like, I don't know how to explain it. Come on, help me with the words. Woo shame is a way to express, to say, absolutely not, or could never be, right? And it's the use of the same word, shame, but it can be used so differently. In fact, when you want to use it in that way, you don't say shame, because I don't know anyone who says woo shame. I think people say woo shame, right? Which is very different. Let me take some of your calls. Doreen, you're in Ridgeway. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Yes, I was traveling on a train from Dover Harbour to London.
Yes.
And me and a friend, and we sat in a compartment, and there was a Dutch girl and an English guy. And we spoke, and then after a while, I used the word nga, something that was beautiful. I said, hey, that's nga. So she said to me, ooh, that's a beautiful language. What language is that? And we had to explain to her now where it comes from. I don't even know how to spell nga.
I think I would, if I were to apply the spelling in the Nguni, it would be NCA, right? Nga.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But yes, and how did you go about explaining it? Did you struggle to explain?
It wasn't easy.
Yeah, no, let me tell you, I mean, quite frankly, every time I try to explain, to my friends who are not South African, it's so difficult because it makes sense to me and it makes sense to everyone around me. But we've just got this way of weaving these terms into our language and it just works. Inga. Inga. Thank you so much for your call, Doreen.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the finding a way to just and you know the thing about direct translation, it never works. So now I must try explain like nah, because I can't while nah works for it's good or it's lovely or it's nice, but it can be used in multiple ways. And that's the thing about language, right? That you can even use it and apply it in a non-conventional way and it will still make sense. We're speaking about the most confusing South African phrase that you've had to explain to someone and had explained to you. And how did you go about explaining it? I really want to hear from you. 011-883-072 072-702-1702.
Hi, Khomotso and 702 Land. Well, the biggest one is I'm sure when you actually mean maybe. Like you ask, where's Palesa? And somebody's, I'm sure she's in her room. I'm sure because it's usually when they speak vernac that will use this I'm sure as a maybe. And that literally means maybe she's in the bedroom.
Yes.
So it's not a confirmed response. But to an outsider, it might sound like a confirmed response because they're literally saying, I'm sure. Palesa in waterfall.
Yeah, I've noticed the phrase because of. And when people say because of, they don't mean because of.
Okay.
They mean because. Now, I've always wondered, then why add the of when in fact you could have simply just said because instead of because of? I picked up on this, I think, about almost 10 years ago.
If you say yaya in Greece, that means granny. That's quite funny, yaya. My word is just now. So people will say, what do you mean by just now? Is it now? Now? When do you mean? So, yeah, that's very South African. Just now. Sarah from Hartbeespoort Sport.
Ushem means over my dead body.
Yeah. It does. It does. Like, what do you mean? Like over? Yes, actually, I like the over my dead body. Or there's no way. You know, like no way. Like ain't no way. I don't know. Yeah, and it's. I think what's beautiful about this also is that how we can all explain it in our own ways and it will still make sense, right? So these are the terms that we use in our conversations, and how I explain it might not necessarily be exactly how the next person explains it, but it will still stick, right, in the South African context. I see some of you wanting to help us here with nga. Someone saying nga is spelled NGCA and not NG, not NCA. Okay, so is it like a nga, like a heavy G? Okay. Thank you so much for your voice notes. I really like the lady who said yeah is granny in Greek, because I wouldn't even know that. I say yeah a lot. Like I say yeah. You know, I'll even say it 3 times. I'll say yeah. And I see some of you saying no. That's the Afrikaans version of now. You know, so quite frankly, in my home, I would hear it a lot. My brothers would say gadla no, meaning I'm coming now. Yeah, I'll be there now. Some of you coming in saying ya ne. Okay, yes, that's to say sure. Wow, it's also an expression. So you say ya ne, meaning I've never heard such, right? I think it's interesting to see how many of these expressions are also, they are used to express shock, disbelief, you know, that's when it usually happens. So many of these are instead of us saying wow, you see, I like South Africans because South Africans are very creative people. We realize that wow is very boring. We can't be saying wow every day. So all these things are a way to say wow. Yeah, ne? You lie. Someone else here saying not make sure. Not make sure is actually one that's weaved its way very recently. It's become popular recently. So I've heard people say it's not make sure. And I think those people, usually they know that it's not grammatically correct, but it's in the how we are using it. I don't even know where it started. Does anyone remember where is not make sure started and how it even started? Yeah, I want to hear from you. Someone else here saying, hi, Khomotso, you lie actually is a turbo booster to encourage you to say more of the story. Yes, I love that. Turbo booster. Dagbeta turbo booster. You lie. Yes. So it means give me more. Tell me more. You know, it means tlaletsona. In my language, we say tlaletsona, meaning give me, come tell me more. Yes, you lie is a very popular one. I do see more of your voice notes coming in. Let's take some of those.
Listen, the word shame is one of the richest words in South Africa's vocabulary. Look, it can be used to express genuine pity. It can also be used to, that was another way, shame. Bless your heart. Oh, shame. It can also be used to like, please stop lying to me. Oh my gosh, shame. Shame is one of the richest words in the South African vocabulary. I love it.
Hi, Khomotso and the listeners. Yo, ungoposa ntho e nngwe. My cousin, nna ke Mxhosa ne. My cousin o kadima tjhelete and then ke re ko yena. Hle, rona re rata ho kenya hle, o ke la bona.
Yes.
Yo hle anginayo. Ha, motho azange a nkuka a nlahlela kwa. A re ko nna o bo re hle e ka re ke sono. Ka re o a re ke mo block ka mo block ka re nna ne ke sa bua mpe.
Yes.
Hi, Miss Modise. The other one is otherwise.
Otherwise.
That means how are you? How's things? Otherwise, sure.
Yes, that's a popular one. Otherwise, right? But hle, hle, I think is in the Sesotho vocab, and I use hle as well. You know, like I'll say maybe akompe, please give me something hle. You know, akumpento hle. And I think it's from my grandmother, who was a Mosotho woman. She would say, ako thole hle, meaning just be quiet, please. You know? So, yeah. But I realized that hle is used quite a bit. People will use it at the end of a sentence, not necessarily even when they're asking for anything. Yeah, I'm very sorry. I hope you unblocked her. I hope you got over it and you fixed it, you know, and maybe one day you'll laugh over it or laugh about it over a cup of tea. Someone else here saying, hi, Khomotso, is not make sure. It's from the late Orlando Pirates fan, Mr. Five Skippers. Okay. I don't know who's an Orlando Pirates fan. I don't know. I've always heard people say it's not make sure recently. Never knew where it came from, right? But thank you for that explanation. And someone else here saying, says Khomotso, another most used phrase, especially used kokasi, is isvar. Isvar, which means I agree with you. And that's the thing, right? You can't directly translate isvar because it means it's true. But like it means if you were to say it's true, it doesn't slap the same. You know, it doesn't hit the same mark. When you say isvar, it means you know, he's telling the truth. He's on the mark. Karabojali, I think does that make sense?
Isvar.
Isvar, right?
No, isvar. Danko.
Danko.
Is please.
It's please.
Thank you.
Danko is thank Karabo. You know, Karabo,
thank you.
You're revealing that you like the kasi, but you're not a kasi boy. Yeah. Danko is thank you. In fact, I do remember that the person who started the Danko trend they would say Danko is thank you.
Yeah.
Right? They would say Danko is thank you. And now people just say Danko. Yeah,
Danko.
We're taking your messages about the most confusing South African phrase that you've had to explain to someone. And I think we're just appreciating South African vocabulary and how words have just taken on a meaning and how we use them in our everyday lives. It is 1:30, time now for EWN headlines. Mbali Dlamini is standing by. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Khomotso. Good afternoon. Gauteng Premier Panyazali Sufi says government has started implementing recommendations from the Health Ombudsman following the deaths of 2 patients in the province. In its investigation, the Ombuds Office found systemic failures in care and safety in the death of psychiatric patient Lerato Mohlame at the George Mukari Academic Hospital in 2024. A second report found that a neonatal death at Netcare Femina Hospital was linked to incorrect medication poor communication and weak governance within the ICU. The inquiry looking into Joburg NPA head advocate Enru Chauke's fitness to hold office has heard that most cases related to the conflict between the Maphumulo and Guaduguza taxi associations remain unresolved. The inquiry is hearing evidence from Guamaphumulo Taxi Association chairperson Siphamandla Mhlongo today. And Joburg Emergency Service says its teams are on high alert as wet weather conditions persist. Authorities are urging residents in low-lying areas to be cautious. The South African Weather Service has issued a yellow level 2 warning for severe thunderstorms in Gauteng. All those are the headlines, this EWN and more at 2 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you're heading into Bedford View, there's slow-moving traffic. This is on the R24 westbound between Edenvale Road and the Kilulis Exchange. If you are in the Midrand area heading towards Centurion, you can expect more than a 30-minute delay. This is on the N1 northbound between Allendale and Samrand. It's not clear what's causing this delay. So if you are on that route, please let us know. I see also delays in the opposite direction on the N1 southbound between Samrand and New Road. So please let us know. You can WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702. We are also on X at EWN Traffic.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
Clement Maniatella.
Weekday mornings,
9 to 12.
9 to 12.
A lot of our listeners are asking about our strategic oil reserves. How much do we have in that, and how long could they last us for?
We have about 8 million barrels. If you look at the consumption, that is equivalent to about a month's worth of supply.
A month?
Yes, but I have to indicate that spoke to one of the suppliers. Currently in their stock holding, they've got 2 months worth of supply, and we have 2 refineries. So those refineries do have some buffers with them.
Avafani Chifularo, the Executive Director at the Fuels Industry Association of South Africa.
Clements Maniatella.
9 to 12 on 702.
Winning the work is one thing. Funding it is another. When growth moves faster than cash, Bridgement gives you the cash flow to deliver, even when timing works against you. Apply online in minutes. Get up to 10 million rand in as little as 24 hours. Apply now at bridgement.com.
Bridgement. Business funding simplified.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
Did you know that you are entitled to buy a new, demo, or used car without a service or a maintenance plan? You can also use an independent workshop for all servicing and maintenance needs without your warranty being automatically voided. Independent workshops are entitled to all technical info and parts needed to work on your vehicle, so you can shop around for the best price and service. Right to Repair. It's your choice. Visit righttorepair.org.za.
The Money Show.
Weekday evenings at 6.
On the next Money Show, we unpack the latest annual results from Advotech and Tungela and what they tell us about the broader education, energy and mining industries. Then, Business Book Review, we're joined by Jaco Maritz to explore his new release, How We Made It in Africa Too, a collection of powerful entrepreneurial stories from across our continent, and as always, expert analysis of the day's biggest business stories.
The Money Show
on 702. Let's walk the talk.
The Money Show with Stephen Curtis is brought to you by Absa Islamic Banking, celebrating 20 years of banking that honors your values. Your story matters. Absa Islamic Banking is a Sharia-compliant FSP.
702. Movies.
Welcome back. This is 702 Afternoons. My name is Mabotja. I'm in for Relebogile Mabotja, and I'm looking forward to our movies conversation today because we're speaking about a film that has been produced so beautifully. The production company recently premiered a Chivenda film. It's called Grade 10D, which focuses on the challenges faced by high school students from rural areas, ultimately highlighting challenges in our education system. Now, it's been set in a place called Chitereke, and it's in an area that's previously been referred to as Venda. In fact, people still refer to the area as Venda. And right there, that story has been told, has been filmed, has been scripted around there. And I'm really looking forward to have this conversation with the publicist for this film, and that is Siabela Maila. Siabela, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time.
Away.
Yeah, okay, that's another one, right? Away.
Exactly.
I absolutely love it. Yeah, I should say otherwise.
Seriously.
Yeah, sure. Siabela, it's so exciting to hear about this film that has been produced, particularly because there are so few vendor-based films. We've heard about and we've watched Movango all our lives, and that's what we grew up on. But then they're very few and far between. What informed the production of Grade 10D?
Exactly that. Yeah, that's a starting point, that there are very few. From the top of my head, I can only think of Elelwani, which starred Florence Masebe and Opremulea,
Yes.
otherwise known as Ashifa Shaba. But this idea came from conversations from learners from who went to previously disadvantaged schools in areas like Chitereke, and just reflecting on the challenges that we had to go through at the time and how those still persist even to this day.
And the film is set in the school. I mean, it's Grade 10D, so I believe that's the name of the class, this problematic class.
Yes, so it was shot in that village of Chitereke, and Grade 10D comes from the whole notion that A, B, C, D ranking. So if you do well in what is now called Grade 9, when you go to Grade 10, automatically, to this day, some schools still practice this. You are in the A class and in the B class, and then the C, and D. Those are the gangsters. So that's what and the treatment from not just your fellow peers, but the educators themselves. You are not treated the same. The ranking applies in so many aspects. It's not just academic. It's pervasive and far-reaching, ultimately affecting the psyche and how you approach life ultimately.
And I mean, we've had stories, told about classrooms and schools over the years. I mean, who can forget the legendary Yizo, right? And and that really informed our perception quite a bit about schools in the townships in the 90s. And over the years, you look at the stories that have been told. You see now, recently, we've got Young'uns, which is also doing really, really, really well. What informed the decision to set this story up in the place that you did and in the way that you have?
Beautiful question, because you talked about youngings and blood and water. We've got stories that serve the upper class, and then you've got township stories, and this will come to a shock as many, but the black township natives do not account for a majority of South Africans. It's actually rural black South Africans that account for a majority, and very few narratives from those have been told. So the way that our society has been stratified is exactly that. So we've got a Yizo, we've got a blood and water, but we do not have a Grade 10D. And that's why we've started to tell the story, because the challenges are different. Javas did not have to, for example, go to the river and fill a bucket of water before he went to Supatsela. But in this film, you've got Elelwani, you've got Tizwe and others, and they show exactly that.
All right. Okay, tell us where we can watch the film. I want to watch desperately. So where can we watch? When can we expect it?
The film ran in Gauteng for 2 weeks. We're still negotiating because it is a system that we were still grappling with. I like the conversation before because it takes us back to black households. So when you remember when we were growing up, if you're black middle class, when you ask for something, wait for month's end. So then it runs, a movie runs for about 2-3 weeks, and then that's it. We've had a very, very successful premiere in Limpopo, full houses, and then we got to Gauteng, very successful, but the movie did come to an end, I think, this weekend, but we're still in negotiations, especially when it comes to distributions. Though other platforms, people are asking about other platforms like your VOD and TV, the main aim of this movie is to recreate the culture of cinema as an educational tool.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that, Sabela. And I'm sure that many of us are looking forward to seeing this film. As a side note, I also want to learn Kilobedu. So, again, you are inspiring me now there. Thank you so much. Kisabela Maila, he's a publicist there for the film Grade 10D, and it's set in Limpopo. It's a lovely, lovely film, and I hope that we'll be able to see it once more when it returns, hopefully when it does, in Gauteng.
702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa.
My show is about getting you informed by the time you get to the office, your place of business, or wherever you need to go. Hopefully you have a fairly good idea what's happening in Johannesburg, in Gauteng, and around the world. We want you to be part of those water cooler conversations, and you will be part of those conversations because you'll be a better informed citizen. What I like about the 702 family and 702 land is the ecosystem that we have built, the community. It's all about connection because we may be different, but ultimately the people you talk to and the people you hear are facing issues just like you.
702 Breakfast with Bongani Bingwa, weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m.
You hear that? That's the sound of business execution finally visible. No more chasing people and reports. No more disconnected systems. No more guessing if our business is performing or not. iStratGo connects strategy, people, performance, and day-to-day work into one clear software platform, so leaders can see what's working, what's not, and where to focus. Because when execution is visible, everything runs better. Book a demo on iStratGo.com. iStratgo.com.
Whether it is a CCMA referral, problems with a mechanic, unfair blacklisting, or an uncontested divorce, Clientele Legal offers professional legal services to all South Africans. Our plans are affordable, and you receive up to 745,000 Rand worth of legal services per year. We cover civil, criminal, and labor-related matters. Our nationwide legal teams are standing by to support you 24 hours a day. Plus, all plans include a 5,000 Rand bail benefit. Join today. SMS Legal to 48721. That's legal to 48721. Clientele General is an authorized FSP and licensed non-life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
This is what progress sounds like. At South African Airways, we've added more aircraft to the runway, increased our flights from just over 1,000 in 2021 to over 24,000 last year. And we continue to add more destinations and routes. It's steady progress over time. We know there's still work to do, but every day we're building something stronger. An airline that shares the resilience of the country it carries. South African Airways. Book your next flight at flysaa.com today.
From ocean view mornings to safari sunsets, your next unforgettable travel adventure starts with Club Med South Africa on 702.
So welcome back to to 7:02 afternoons. My name is Mabotja. I'm so excited. I hope that you can hear it in my voice because we are giving away goodies. This July, South Africa will welcome something truly, truly unique. The globally renowned Club Med is opening its very first local resort, and not just any resort, but a world-first beach and safari experience in the KZN North Coast. Because, I mean, who says you can't have both, right? It's a destination that brings together beachfront luxury and Big Five adventure all under one all-inclusive offering. To tell us more about that, we are joined by Olivier Piratone, and he is the managing director at Club Med. Olivier, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time.
Good afternoon, Khomotso.
Did I get that right? You know, I've been trying.
It was spot on. Are you French? You didn't tell me.
Oh. Listen, I think I should go back and ask my parents. Hey, maybe they're hiding something I don't know. I mean, it's absolutely amazing. In South Africa, we would call you the Moreki. You know what that means?
No, tell me.
It means the buyer. It means the guy who's spending the money, right? And I mean, in this context, you're the Moreki because we've got you to thank for this fantastic giveaway. I mean, Club Med is opening its first resort in South Africa. What makes this project so exciting?
It's very exciting because we are writing history in the South African hospitality landscape. It's probably been 50 years since we have a project of this scale in the country. So the impact for local tourism, employment, for us, Club Med, the brand penetration are huge. So very happy with the project and very happy to introduce the Club Med unique hospitality to South Africans.
Yes.
Plenty South Africans don't know us yet, and we cannot wait for them to experience a generous, all-inclusive, convivial and multicultural experience in our resort.
And I mean, of course, this is what makes this even more incredible. It's the fact that it's both a beach and safari experience together.
Correct.
Which we often experience very separately, right? Can you tell us what that experience will look like for guests?
For sure. We wanted to be sure that we include the bush experience in the combo to have foreigners, international, to come and experience the best of what South Africa has to offer. For our South African guests, they have the freedom to use the beach resort solely or go to the bush also. We can expect basically all water activities to be available you can think of at the beach resorts, namely surf, stand-up paddle, kayaking, as well as a number of land sports like paddle tennis, rugby to be available. And in the same holiday to experience what the north of Zululand has to offer the best, which means pristine landscape, Big Five game reserve,
yes.
The way you know it already.
Yes. Oh, that sounds great. And that's, I mean, it's you say all inclusive, but that actually sounds all inclusive, right? Because sometimes we throw the word around or the term around all inclusive quite a bit, but not necessarily say what's in there. That sounds comprehensive to me.
That's a good point, Khomotso. Let me first remind you that Club Med created the all-inclusive. So I think we're quite well positioned to discuss it and showcase it. At Club Med, like I said, the all-inclusive is generous. So it encompasses pretty much everything. There's one upfront cost and then no hidden fee for your food, beverages, and we talk here about great diversity and quality and quantity for the food and beverages. Encompasses also the full spectrum of accommodation types, from entry level to suites. Then you will have the sports and activities. There's at least 30 different activities on offer, part of the package at Club Med.
Yeah.
And then also the kids care, so that your kids can have a good time on their own and parents don't feel guilty because they know they're having a good time. To enjoy the holidays for themselves. And last but not least, at night you have some entertainment, part of the Club Med experience. So bars, nightclubs with live DJ sets, if you want to party the night away.
Yes, I can tell. Oh, it sounds like the place to be, truly. I mean, it sounds absolutely amazing. Why KZN? You know, I mean, of course, they've got the beach,
yes.
right? So it gives you the beach element. And then, of course, the safari. But why did you pick that part of the country?
We wanted to have the best possible South African experience. And to do so, we wanted to have in one location, the bush resort, a bush lodge, and the beach resort. And there's not many places on the world map where you can find this beautiful combo And that's why KwaZulu-Natal was just the best place for this groundbreaking result. Yeah.
All right. So I understand that there are limited time a scale coming up, right? So that this is you can't enjoy this forever, right? It's going to run out. How can listeners secure their holiday, and when does the resort actually open?
So the resort will open on the 4th of July. And actually this week we are launching the reservation for the festive season and beyond. So South African can enjoy the best possible offer as we release the rates and availability for the festive season and beyond. So this week is the time to book. Yeah.
All right. Okay, Olivier, listen, I mean, I can already see our lucky contestants here in studio, and I think I am a little more excited than they are, right? We've got our guys from last week. So, of course, last week we had the entire week of narrowing it down to our lucky contestants that are here, and today is the day. It is the day. Okay, where we get to find out who exactly is going to be winning. Right here in studio with me, we've got Lulama. Lamini, Lulama? Oh, the lovely lady in orange. In fact, I should tell our listeners, if you are anywhere near a PC or your phone, please check our 702 YouTube channel. You'll be able to see all our contestants here in studio, and you'll be able to see them be part of the lucky draw. And then we also have Aubrey Mihlabine. Aubrey? Hi. That's why you, Aubrey has the most infectious smile, hey?
Thanks, Muto.
And then Carol Mpadre. Carol. Hey, Carol.
Yeah, I don't put the name.
What do you mean? I was like, which one? Where is Carol? And then joining us on Zoom, we have, I think it's Puleng. I think Puleng Naiketsane is on Zoom. Puleng, hi. Puleng, I need more from you. Do you understand 70,000? 70,000 getaway. I need you to give me more. Puleng, hi. Technology is failing Puleng. Okay, we are choosing to believe that she's just as excited as we are in studio. And then there's Lerato Maladzi. Lerato, hi.
Hello, Khumuto. How are you doing?
Yes, give me more, Lerato. I'm good. How are you?
Hi, Khumuto. I'm very well, thank you.
It's so lovely to hear from you guys. I'm so excited on your behalf, and I know that you are, so I don't want to waste any more of your time. We need to find out. It's the moment of truth. So this is how this is going to work, right? We are going to be having our contestants have envelopes in their hands. Do they not?
Yes, we do.
Okay. They've already been part of an initial process, right, where they were able to choose items that are linked to the beach, and then now they have envelopes and they basically get to open. So the two people that are joining us on Zoom cannot be here, so they don't have envelopes where they are. But don't you worry, don't you fret, Puleng and Lerato, because we have reps for you here in studio. We've got the lovely Mumprim from upstairs. She's got an envelope in her hand. And then we've got the lovely Laura also in studio. She's also got an envelope. And how it's going to work is that we are all going to open, or they are all going to open their envelopes at the same time. And the lucky winner will have a specific sign in her envelope, or in, hey, I'm sorry, there's too many ladies here. I'm assuming it's going to be a lady, okay? His or her envelope, right? And they will know very clearly, because what's in your envelope will be distinctly different from everyone else. And then we will have our winner. Are we ready?
Yes.
Oh, whoa.
Yes, we're ready.
Are we ready?
Let's go for it.
Okay. At the moment of truth, can we get some dramatic music? I'm going to do your thing. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, in 3, 2, 1, go ahead and open your envelopes.
Okay.
Digging. Is it you, Lulama?
No.
No? It's not Carol?
No.
It's Lulama. From over there, you didn't know that you had.
I don't know.
I'm thinking, is this a trick?
It says congratulations, ma'am.
Well, thank you very much.
How are you feeling?
Radio 702. Very humbling, yeah.
This is amazing,
Yeah,
ma'am.
It's finally over now. It's the beginning. It's the start of the beginning or end of the beginning. I don't know.
Have you been agonizing over this moment? Have you been having sleepless nights?
Just as we got inside here, then I'm like, okay.
Yes.
The moment of truth has arrived.
Yes. Yeah, well, listen, you were the brightest color. I think you knew, okay? You had to prepare yourself. We are so excited for you, Lulama. Who are you taking?
A family member, possibly my son, because he's the one of my 3 kids that are here in the country. So I'll take Unkululego when he's watching right now. Kuli, here we go.
Oh, Nkuli. Oh, well, congratulations. Well done, Lulama. And we wish we were you. Listen, thank you so much to Club Med. And I hope that you enjoy it.
Thank you
fantastic
very much.
time.
And to my fellow contestants, give you a hug. Could have been you. Yeah, thank you for the good
Well
luck.
done, eh?
Yeah, thank you, Club Med and Talk Radio 702.
That's fantastic. All right, that's our lovely winner, Lulama. Imagine waking up to the sound of the ocean and ending your day watching the Big Five at sunset. Club Med is bringing their brand new beach and safari resort to KZN this July. It's the first of its kind, combining a beachfront escape with a private safari lodge experience all in one holiday. Plus, it's fully all-inclusive. Think gourmet dining, activities, wellness, and more. Take advantage of the Club Med season opening sale from the 24th to the 27th of March. Book at clubmed.co.za. T's and C's apply.
Let's walk the talk.
702.
All right, thank you so much. And we have our winner here that I can tell you now that we are all still very, very excited. And Sis Lulama is going to be enjoying her ticket and her trip there. It's all inclusive, which sounds so amazing. In the next hour, we're going to be having a very important conversation. It's around mathematics, and it's for our parenting conversation. Now, we've heard from time and time again, we hear, those very disturbing numbers and results when it comes to mathematics. And recently, the story has moved from it just being about the fact that, South African children are performing lower than average compared to their counterparts in other parts of the world. But it's now moved towards South African children avoiding mathematics in school. In fact, there's even data now that speaks to some schools that are not offering pure maths at all. And mathematics literacy has become, the subject of choice. Now, we're going to be having a conversation around anxiety, maths anxiety. And if you're a parent who encourages your child to do mathematics, how do you go about doing that? How do you shift the mindset of a young person who struggles with maths, who operates likely in a world that says maths is so difficult, who hears many of their peers speak so negatively about mathematics? How do you help them change their understanding and change their perception of the subject? I really want to hear from you on that. And it's an important one to have because, quite frankly, I think the biggest challenge that we have in our schools isn't just the subject and the teaching of the subject, it's the perception of the subject and what people actually think of mathematics. We need to divorce maths from words like difficult, like hard. In fact, haven't you heard people saying, oh, I'm not a maths person? I'm guilty of saying things like that. I'm not a maths person. I'm a words person. And I've had to be very, very careful when using that language, especially now because I have a daughter. She's still young, but I'm very cognizant of the fact that that may influence her around how she perceives mathematics and how she'll go about approaching the subject. So we're going to be having that conversation in just a bit. It's an important one to have parents also. I think what's important also here is just creating community where other parents can advise parents of young people who are struggling. If you've got the formula, if you figured out how it works and you know how to deal with perception, if you know how to rewire how children think of something, how your children have thought about maths, please get in touch with us. It's an important one. And the number to dial is 011-883-0702, 072-702-1702. We're going to be having that conversation and lots more after the news.
This is EWN.
Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi says government has started implementing recommendations from the Health Ombudsman following the deaths of 2 patients in the province. In its investigation, the Ombuds Office found systemic failures in care and safety in the death of psychiatric patient Lerato Mohlamme at the George Mukhari Academic Hospital in 2024. A second report found that a neonatal death at Netcare Femina Hospital was linked to incorrect medication, poor communication and weak governance in the ICU. Lesufi says the province accepts all the recommendations and will work closely with the Ombuds Office to address the failures. He says staffing capacity has already been boosted, with those implicated facing consequences.
The capacity when the incident happened, there were only 3 specialized psychiatrists. We've increased that from 3 to 8. We've also put additional 12 nurses to the total of 105 nurses that are dealing with this particular task. We've now assigned 9 permanent securities that are now stationed permanently.
Gauteng top cop Van Nkosi has blamed human error for omitting a link between Deputy President Paul Mashatile and controversial businessman Vusimuzi Matlala from his testimony. Nkosi was back before the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry today. In October last year, Nkosi's home was raided by police who were looking for Matlala's credit card. After the raid, Nkosi made a handwritten statement to police saying Matlala once called him asking for the card back because he was meeting with Mashatile and Deputy National Police Commissioner Shedrick Sibia. Tabiso Koba reports.
He called me again telling me that he needs a card agent as he was going to meet with the Deputy President Paul Mashatile.
This was Sergeant Van Nkosi reading into record a portion of the statement he gave to police following a raid at his home in October last year. Nkosi has previously been questioned at the Madlanga Commission around why he had Vusimuzi Matlala's black credit card in his possession. In both his statement submitted to the Commission and oral testimony, Nkosi has never mentioned the Deputy President Paul Mashatile. Nkosi was asked why he had left out this part of the story.
Human error.
It could be a human error. I can say that what I have stated there, that is what I heard from Mr. Matlala at that time.
Nkosi has denied trying to protect the Deputy President, also adding he doesn't know what the meeting with Matlala was about or if it's ever took place. Tabiso Koba, Eyewitness News.
The inquiry looking into Joburg NPA head advocate Andrew Chauke's fitness to hold office has heard that most cases related to the conflict between the Maphumulo and Ngwaduguza taxi associations remain unresolved. The inquiry has been hearing evidence from Maphumulo Taxi Association chairperson Spamandla Mhlongo today. It is probing allegations that Chauke acted outside of his jurisdiction in the prosecution of the Cato Manor cases, where a number of killings were carried out by police towards persons in the industry. Ntlantla Mabaso reports.
The Nkabinde inquiry resumed its proceedings with the chairperson of the controversial KwaMaphumulo Taxi Association, Siphamandla Mhlongo. Mhlongo is before the commission to testify mainly about the taxi violence which has engulfed his taxi association and neighboring Ngwaduguza Taxi Association. He will also speak about the hits on taxi members which were allegedly carried out by members of the Cato Manor Organized Crime Unit. In his testimony, Mhlongo alleges most of the cases were not resolved.
A husband was shot and killed. The mother managed to survive. She's a member now of the executive committee, of my executive committee. The case was opened. In that case, one person was arrested. There was no prosecution. It's just one instance that I'm making reference to.
The proceedings are continuing. Ntlantla Mabaso, Eyewitness News.
Johannesburg Emergency Services says its teams are on high alert as wet weather conditions persist. Authorities are urging residents in low-lying areas to be cautious. This after the South African Weather Service issued a yellow level 2 warning for severe thunderstorms. Forecaster Tukelo Chilwane says rainy weather conditions will persist.
Gauteng will remain mostly cloudy and cool with a 60% chance of showers and thunder showers today and tomorrow. The South African Weather Service has issued a yellow level 2 warning for severe thunderstorms over the province for both days. Similar conditions are expected throughout the week with rainfall probabilities ranging between 30% and 60%.
And US President Donald Trump says he has ordered a halt to his threatened strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure. Trump took to his Truth social media platform to make the announcement today. He says the decision was taken after very good and productive talks with Tehran. The latest development comes as talks and negotiations are set to continue into the week. He says he has instructed the Department of War to postpone military strikes against Iranian power plants and energy infrastructure for a 5-day period. The conflict in the Middle East escalated last month when the US and Israel attacked Iran, resulting in retaliatory attacks in the Gulf region. Gold is trading at $4,227.99 an ounce. The rand is at 17.21 to the dollar, 22.84 to the pound, 19.80 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $114.08 a barrel.
Midrand, bumper-to-bumper traffic on the N1 in both directions between Samrand and the Batlu interchange due to an earlier accident. Look out for those faulty traffic lights in Rand Park Ridge at Beyersnodia and the N1.
It's a cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today with scattered showers and thundershowers in some parts. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 24 and 26 degrees. The top story in EWN, Gauteng Premier Panyazali Sufi says government has started implementing recommendations from the Health Ombudsman following the deaths of 2 patients in the province.
EWN, in touch, in tune, and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app.
702.
Live
On the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856
92.7
and 106 FM. Let's walk the talk.
Welcome back. This is the second hour of 702 Afternoons. My name is Contestant. I'm in for Relebogile Mabotja this afternoon. Sure, if you just joined us, where have you been? In the last hour, we've really had such an exciting time, hey? We just had one of our winners for the Club Med competition that we were running, and they are just so excited. And I can still see them actually outside studio, and they just don't believe that they've won that all-inclusive package for 70,000 Rand. Can you believe it? Oh, it's amazing. Coming up in the next hour, we're going to be having a conversation around parenting. It is our parenting conversation on a Monday, and I'm looking forward to this chat because we speak about kids who are raised confident when coming to mathematics. So how to tackle maths anxiety early. And I'm interested in finding out from parents, I'm interested in finding out from guardians about how you help your children deal with the anxiety when it comes to mathematics. And do you have anxiety as an adult when it comes to maths as well? So that conversation we're going to be having in just a bit. And then because it is a Monday, we're having our conversation with the naked scientist, that is Dr. Chris Smith, who's going to be talking us through all your science questions. It is 8 minutes past 2. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome to the show.
Parenting and Parents
on 702.
Parenting and Parents on 702 is brought to you by Sanofi, together against RSV. All right, so this conversation is one that is very close to my heart as a person also who has, struggled for the longest time with math. I mean, I had to apply myself. I always believe, and I've always heard, and our expert today is going to tell us whether this is true, that there are people who are naturally inclined and gifted when it comes to mathematics, and then there are the people that have to work at it. And I was one of the people that worked at it. And we live in a country now where many children have anxiety when it comes to mathematics. Many children are avoiding mathematics now. As a result, they're going for what's perceived to be the easier alternative, which is mathematics literacy. But schools are also responding in that we are seeing more schools also deciding to do away with what's known as pure mathematics, and they now only have mathematics literacy. And this is rather concerning. And here are some of the numbers really that I think tell the story. So we've got, in terms of students, approximately 20 to 30% of students who experience significant maths anxiety. That's in the International PISA assessments. And the stats here come from the National Institute of Health. The maths anxiety is a global phenomenon affecting roughly 20 20 to 33% of the population. In terms of adults, over 1/3 of adults, that's 35%, report feeling anxious about doing math, with 20% feeling physically sick from fear. Now that's quite something, and it means that we need to speak about it, but also it means that we must effect some changes. Now, for that conversation, we're speaking to Dr. Belinda Huntley, who is a math teacher and a member of the Problem Committee of the South African Mathematics Challenge for grades 4 to 7. Belinda, thank you so much for your time and welcome to the show.
Thank you.
You know, I mean, having read those numbers and just seeing them on paper for me, it really tells such a story about the difficult relationship, it seems for me, that many children, but also adults have with mathematics. And it screams to me that it's really based on fear and anxiety, is it not?
So, maths anxiety is something that has crept into the maths schooling because we have not normalized mistakes as essential learning moments. So we pass on very negative comments, both parents and I think educators as well. When children fail, we tell them that, they need to try and do better, or they feel like a failure. But yet, maths is that type of subject where if we actually don't fail at some of the assessments, then we are not learning, because the assessments that are given to the children are there for both the educators and the parents and the learners to actually see what they are still struggling with, to get help with that, and then to actually make it a process of understanding to get to the end product. But if you're just focusing on marks and end product and instant answers, then you will create this maths anxiety. And this, unfortunately, is very prevalent in our schools.
Does the anxiety come from how we approach the maths and our perception of the subject? Or is it something that people have from the very beginning? And I ask that because, I understand that children are often very eager to try new things. And it's often how we respond to that informs or influences whether they will continue to want to try or not. So where does the anxiety come from and how does it begin?
Yeah. So most of our research shows that the foundational gaps start in the primary school intermediate phase. And in fact, also in all the interfaces. So from grade 7 to grade 8, and then again from grade 10 to grade 11, and even from grade 3 into grade 4. So we expect the children to develop quite fast in their maths strategies, but this is something that we have to caution against, because every step along the way is built on the previous year's work. So if the foundation has not been set properly, for example, in grade 3, and now they're coming into grade 4 with additional anxieties about, now I've got a different teacher per subject and I've got so many more subjects, then if they don't have that strong foundation of the concepts of, their times tables, their number bonds and all of that, then when we start introducing a lot more complex procedures, then they start feeling anxious.
And how does one go about avoiding that anxiety, but also replacing it with confidence? What are the active things that a parent can do to get to that point?
So I think that the parents have to foster a culture of learning in their homes, not just focus on their children getting the correct answers. Because if I can just, for example, tell you that we call it a procedural fluency versus conceptual fluency. So procedural fluency is if just I got the answer right, I'm successful. Conceptual fluency is I didn't get the answer right, but my method to get towards my answer was actually good. It was a good strategy. It was a good way of thinking. And I think this has to be fostered at home as well as in the classroom. You know, rather than say you got the sum wrong, let's rather say I really like the method which you tackled this question, and I'll show you where you could have improved it or where maybe you had made some error, and then lead your child further through that error. I feel that there is too much emphasis on getting the answer right or wrong. And then the child develops a mindset of, oh, I can't do this, maths is too hard. So it's always based on performance. And then you get this vicious cycle that if I don't perform, then I'm anxious. But before I write the assessment, I'm anxious, and then I don't perform. So what happens in the brain is that you have a working memory, and when it's filled with anxiety, there's no room in it for you to actually, there's no mental space to perform the actual calculations, because now you have filled it up with these feelings of, I'm scared, you know, I have a fear for this subject. So, so it is a bit of a vicious circle.
Speaking about math anxiety and really how to do away with this and replace it with confidence. And I want to hear from you. Do you have a child who struggles with math? How are you going about helping them with that anxiety? Is the concept of math anxiety one that you have known of, or is it something completely new? And what does it look like in your child? And I really want us to share notes from parents who maybe have figured it out and know exactly how to address the anxiety and the thoughts of fear. The number to dial is 072-702-1702, 011-883-0702.
Africa Milani.
Weekday mornings,
4 to 6.
U.S. interests in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and such areas has been the target of Iran. Are they not running the risk of having fellow Arab nations actually turning on them?
That Donald Trump did was to kill the Ayatollah on the first day. He immediately united the nations, united Iran as a nation together, which he hoped would divide the nation. Secondly, also to understand that there is a huge divide in the Middle East. We've seen this in the wars in Yemen and Syria. As a humanity, we need peacemakers and peace seekers, and this is our challenge in the world today.
Mike Bernard.
Africa Milani.
4 to 6 on 702.
Clientele is here to safeguard you and your family with compassion because life happens. Be part of a family that truly cares. Our funeral dignity plans have helped South Africans bury their loved ones with dignity for more than 30 years. Let us help you create a meaningful tribute that honors your life and those of your loved ones. We pay out within 24 hours and you will get double accident cover with a clientele funeral plan. Our plans are affordable. Pick the option that suits your needs. It's easy to apply. No medical examinations and no paperwork. SMS funeral to 31586. That's 31586. Clientele Life is an authorized FSP and licensed life insurer. T's and C's online. Standard rates apply.
How's it, Doff? How's it, Savvy? Why are you sitting in your driveway all by your lonesome, Doff? Selling my car, Sav. I don't trust the internet. I like to wheel and deal my own wheels. That's how you make way more, Sav. Okay, so where's your car now, Doff? Potential buyers took it for a test drive. When did they take it for a test drive, Doff? 3 days ago. Should have sold it to We Buy Cars, Doff. Yeah, Savvy.
Don't be Doff, be savvy. We Buy Cars, geared for a fast, safe sale, geared for you.
Elevate your flying experience with Lift Premium.
Enjoy even more space, comfort, and convenience with priority boarding, extra baggage allowance, and complimentary lounge access. Visit lift.co.za today.
Calling all wedding planners and venues, restaurants, conference centers, and hotels. Do you need tables and chairs? Home in One has it all. Do you need cutlery, crockery, table linen, and restaurant equipment? Home in One has it all. Do you need tents, gazebos, or umbrellas? Home in One has it all. Affordable prices, the latest trends, with 2 branches in Pretoria and Johannesburg. Shop online at homein1.co.za because we're your #1 choice. Home in One has it all.
Parenting and parents.
On 702.
It's Parenting and Parents right here on 702 Afternoons. My name is Contestant in for Relebogile Mabotja, and we're speaking about math anxiety. It's really a concept really around the posture and the approach to mathematics that many children have. And data that we've spoken about speaks about the fear and anxiety that some adults also have when it comes to mathematics. And I want to go to some of your telephone or the phone lines as well as your WhatsApps that I see coming through. Let's go to Zonia. You're in Pretoria North. Zonia, thank you so much for your call. Please go ahead.
You're welcome, Komoto. One, normally in science and those technical things, for you to be able to grasp something very well, you have to define it. There's no definition for mathematics. But as a mathematician, I define mathematics as a study of relationship between or among quantities. Quantities could be anything leading to mathematical modeling, which solves human problems. One, the major problem is sometimes the presenters of mathematics don't have passion for it. They're not passionate. They talk it as if it's something very foreign. They say technical language. Chinese learn mathematics in Chinese. And then Japanese learn mathematics in Japanese language. As Africans, we learn mathematics in English, which is not our natural language. And therefore, it's very hard to connect easily to what we are supposed to be learning. As an example, as a lecturer, for instance, when I had started at China North College, initially one of those days, I took some groups from N4 to N6. When we reached N5, they were toying against me that I'm making things easy and confusing. But when they reached N6, 93% distinctions and 100% pass rate. In other words, if you can connect with the student, like I'm a foreigner, but I learn some of the local mixed languages. I talk to them, I relate to them, and you have to make the students feel as a part of what you're teaching. They cannot absorb things that seem so foreign to them. You need to relate to them in a way, in a language they understand. Even if it means you need to know how they interact amongst themselves in order for them to understand what you're teaching or lecturing to them.
And that makes so much sense, Zonia. The fact that language matters so much when you're teaching any subject, really. I've seen videos of people teaching biology as well, or what they call, what do they call biology now? They call it life science.
Life sciences.
Yes. I've seen people teaching life science in isiZulu. I've seen them adding beats and music to it, and the whole class passes. And that speaks both to the language and the passion element that you're talking about.
Exactly, because what happens is if a person does not have a personal connection with whatever the person is learning, the person is not going to really capture it very well. Because most spiritual people, you see, actually are mathematical. Mathematics is the language of the universe. They will easily connect with things. And secondly, the other thing is, you don't need to have gaps in mathematics. If you have earlier gaps, when you reach a certain level, you need to fill those gaps before you can go smoothly, because one always connects to the other.
All right, Zonia and Pretoria North, thank you so much for your call. He's a math lecturer. It makes a lot of sense, really. My guest for this conversation is Dr. Belinda Huntley, a math teacher and a member of the Problem Committee of the South African Mathematics Challenge, and this is for grade 4s to 7s. Belinda, does what we've just heard make sense? Because for me, I mean, he speaks to me quite a bit. I think if I'd learned mathematics maybe in my language, or if I learned it with a bit of music because I'm musically inclined, I would have done better.
So it's interesting about the music, because in the intermediate phase, the grade 4 to 6, we teach a lot of our mathematics, the bonds, the exponents, the BODMAS rule. We teach a lot of it through song and dance. And the children really love it and they get it, you know. As soon as you start focusing on the theoretical aspects of BODMAS, you lose them. But you get them up and you let them sing about it, you let them dance it. They connect with that topic, and then they, through the years, they carry that song with them. Look, this is what I said about the conceptual jump from grade 3 to grade 4. It is the language barrier. Okay, the language barrier. So you've been taught in your home language, and now from grade 4 onwards, you are taught in English. But the thing is, the teacher has to have a connection with her students to be able to recognize, is it the language that it's a barrier, or are they not using enough of the concrete objects to explain new concepts? Because any child can understand a picture, can understand a game, can if they're working with concrete objects for counting or 3D objects or whatever, if they're actually seeing it, they will understand it better than trying to theorize it in a maths lesson.
Yeah.
So I'll always go back to the concrete before I attempt the abstract, like especially in geometry in high school. Geometry has always been considered to be a very difficult subject, and it's because it requires, quite advanced spatial development. But again, if you take them out on the field and you show them, in 3D, what you're meaning about a vertical plane, a horizontal plane, oblique plane, and you first let them see, let them measure, let them talk about it amongst themselves, you're making those connections. Only when the child has the connections can you then start moving into the abstracts.
Yeah. All right, I want to take a voice note. Let's take a listen.
And one thing that I found actually works for me is there are a lot of concepts that I didn't get back then when I was in grade 4, grade 5. Like long division, I only learned long division 2 years ago because I had to learn it to teach my daughter. So working through the concepts in real time with her and having her explain it to me the way the teacher explained it to her and applying that. And then whenever there are problems, we go through them together. Okay, I'm on step 1. What are you on? What's your answer? My answer is this. Step 2, what's your answer? My answer is this. And it gives her the confidence to say, no, Mama, I did this and this is the correct answer. And we get to the fact that she is right and I was wrong. That really helps a lot.
Yeah, that sounds amazing, actually. It sounds like a great relationship also. Doctor, I want us to go into what are some of the symptoms of this math anxiety? So you might be thinking your child does have anxiety. How would you know?
Yes, so there are some very clear symptoms. And I speak from my own experience. Children who are absent every time there's a maths assessment. You start seeing the pattern that on that day you will get a note to say the child is not feeling well, they are nauseous, they have stomach aches, or they just say they're sick. So physical, you can see definite changes as soon as there's got to be a maths assessment. Then, but even when there isn't maths assessment, just normal maths classes, we have students who are continuously asking us to go to the bathroom. That is their way of coping as well. Frequent requests to go to the bathroom. Okay, then you have these avoidance tactics, like always to say, oh, I forgot my homework, because they don't want you to see what they did. Often they don't do anything because it's just too. It's it just they just don't even want to sit down and tackle the homework because they can't cope with the anxiety. So they just tell you that they've left their books at home. They are forgetting to do their homework. And silly little things like rubbing out a lot. Oh, we get that. Especially girls, they erase and erase and erase their solutions constantly. So they just don't have the confidence, or they sharpen their pencils all the time. And then we also get negative self-talk, like somebody will come and say, ma'am, I just want to tell you from the beginning that I'm really not good at maths. I'm not a numbers person. Or they even go as far as saying that they hate maths.
Sure.
And then if you ask somebody in class for an answer, they will give you like a shaky whisper, like you'll have to go to them, and then I'll say, but that was fantastic. Tell the whole class what you've just told me. It's so excellent. But they don't have that confidence. And then, of course, perfectionism. The kids who don't want, they'd rather not do the solution than answer it in their books, and they would have to do a correction, or they'd have to get the teacher marking it wrong. They want to avoid that at all costs, so they don't want to be seen to be making visible mistakes. And you see, it goes back to what I said earlier on. We're not allowing the children to make mistakes in this process of learning. It cannot be right the first time. Everybody who is successful at some or whatever career they're in have all made mistakes. How else do you learn?
Yep. Dr. Belinda Huntley, mathematics teacher and member of the problem committee of the South African Mathematics Challenge. Thank you so much for your time and your analysis of this matter. Of course, it's an ongoing conversation to have around maths anxiety. Have you heard of the respiratory syncytial virus, or RSV? Most parents haven't, even though 2 out of 3 babies will be infected by it before their first birthday. For most babies, RSV causes mild cold-like symptoms, but for some of them, it can get worse and lead to bronchitis or pneumonia, which might require a trip to the doctor or even lead to hospitalization. Sanofi is working to support families during RSV season by sharing guidance on simple preventative steps to help your baby or keep your baby safe. All right, it's a little after 2:30. It's time for EWN Headlines with Mbali Dlamini. Good afternoon.
Thanks, Khomoto. Good afternoon. Gauteng police are investigating a case of murder after a 35-year-old woman was shot near the CCMA offices in the Joburg CBD today. Preliminary reports indicate that she was followed by 2 unknown gunmen near the corner of Joubert and Fox before she was shot. Eyewitnesses say the suspects ran off on foot after the shooting. The Health Ombudsman has found critical safety failures contributed to the death of a psychiatric patient at the George Mukhari Academic Hospital. This is contained in findings from a probe into the death of Lerato Mohlame in 2024. Mohlame died in a fire at the hospital while 17 other patients were evacuated from the ward. And US President Donald Trump says he has ordered a halt to his threatened strikes on Iranian energy infrastructure. Trump took to his Truth social media platform to make the announcement today. He says the decision was taken after very good and productive talks with Tehran. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 3 or as it happens.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage in Midrand, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic. This is on the N1 in both directions between Samrand and the Butlu interchange due to an earlier accident. Otherwise, the rest of 702 land looking pretty good. No serious accidents have been reported in the Joburg area. Just look out for those faulty traffic lights in Rand Park Ridge at Beyersnodia and the N1. Traffic lights still not working in Midrand at Olifantsfontein Road and Old Pretoria Road. If you come across any other traffic issues, kindly WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes on 702.
My show is about your money, and it's about how people have made their money. But it's also about what happened to your money today, what happened on the JSE, what's happening overseas. All of these things, all about the way in which people make their money, spend their money, use their money, and in so many ways, use their money to make more money for them. What I absolutely love about the 702 family and 702 land is the huge warmth of people, the generosity that they show. But I also absolutely love the hustle. Anyone in business is actually trying to improve the economy. They're trying to have an impact on all of us. And there's a go-getting attitude to 702 land that you don't see in so many other places. That's what I really love about 702 land. That getting together and doing something new, and in the process, making money.
The Money Show with Stephen Grootes. Weekdays from 6 to 8 p.m.
Imagine beginning your holiday to the sound of the ocean and ending it with a sunset encounter with the Big Five. Club Med is bringing their brand new beach and safari resort to KwaZulu-Natal this July. It's the first of its kind, combining a beachfront escape with a private safari lodge experience, all in one holiday. Plus, it's fully all-inclusive. Think gourmet dining, activities, wellness, and more. Take advantage of the Club Med season and the opening sale from the 24th to the 27th of March. Book at clubmed.co.za. T's and C's apply.
To you, it's just a glass sliding door. To your dog, it's an invisible force field to be tested. But it could also end up being an expensive vet bill. Get peace of mind with Outsurance Pet Insurance from only 65 Rand a month. You get claims paid in 1 day, a fixed excess, choose your own vet, and you could get a cash out bonus. SMS quote to 45149. That's quote to 45149. Licensed insurer and FSP. TCs and information online.
Looking for a new ride this Easter? Get the new Polo Vivo 1.4 Life from Barron's Volkswagen with a full basket of extras from only 3,490, including a 3-year full maintenance plan, alloy wheels, parking package, and rear view camera. That's right, all of this for only 3,490 per month. Hop on down to Barron's Woodmead or Barron's Broomer today to take advantage of this excellent deal. Barron's, the Volkswagen people.
Coming up
on 702 Drive.
Coming up on 702 Drive with Thabo Shole Mashao. He's in studio with us this afternoon. Hi, Thabo.
Hello. How are you doing?
Keshap, what's on the show this afternoon?
A couple of things. Great seeing you again. And I always see you outside the studio. But eventually here we are together.
Yes.
Because at times people would have thought that I'm you and you are me. Because every time I'm on air, you're not. But that's a story for another day. I'm sure you know that story of that lawyer who was shot in the CBD. We are going to ask an EWN reporter to help us make sense of that. The report that came out from the health ombuds, very interesting, Mr. Daule there, and it should explain at least the death of one psychiatric patient and the neonatal death at the hospital, the Netcare hospital. So those are serious issues, and they continue to be a blot on our health system. You'd think after Esidimeni we would do better, but it looks like we still have a long way to go. Much later on, Silas Brink will tell us about how he wrote to the Madlanga Commission and some of the steps that he wants taken against one of the executive members of the city of Tshwane. Sure. And Papano Pasha, the political commentator, penned something in The Citizen saying that it doesn't make sense that the ANC was marching over the weekend.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. And saying,
I was thinking, who are you marching against?
Exactly. Saying you are in power and you are marching. What's that all about? We'll speak to Papano about that. And we are trying to get hold of the ANC to give them right of reply. All that and more between 3 and 6.
Okay, before I let you go.
Yeah, boy.
We've been asking.
Yeah.
What's the most confusing South African phrase that you've had to explain to someone or had explained to you? And we've got, the favorites, Bo, Aish, we got Bo, Now. Yeah. Ne is a popular one. What's one that you've had to explain?
Asan. Asan could mean a couple of things, especially when you're talking with the guys. Yes. And a guy could be telling you a beautiful story about how this guy almost got the goal and he missed it by just a tin. You're like, hey, son. Hey, son.
Yeah.
But a guy could also tell you about a beautiful lady that he met and like, hey, son. And how was she? And then those kind of things. So a son could be applicable in a contradictory context and circumstances.
Yeah, and you know what's cool?
Yeah.
Whenever we're speaking, we know just what
Exactly.
you mean. In that context, we know, we get it, right?
Sure.
Yeah,
is another one.
It's a sure. It's lovely being South African. Okay, it is a 7:02 afternoon drive coming up with Thabo Sholema Shao at 3 p.m.
702.
The Naked Scientist.
It's time for one of my favorite features, actually. It's time with the Naked Scientist, that is Dr. Chris Smith, and we're speaking and taking all your science questions. Dr. Smith joins us now on the line. Dr. Smith, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward. I'm excited. I know that we've got many science questions coming up. Every week when we talk to you, I mean, we can't get through all of them. So the lines are going to be flooded. So let's get started. I have one that I found to be really interesting. Someone is asking, why do most men have shorter legs and necks compared to ladies, regardless of BMI?
Is that true? That men have, on average, shorter... I mean, men are taller, on average, than women. I mean, that's not to say there aren't some really tall women around and some really short men in comparison, like me. I mean, I'm only 5'7". My wife's taller than I am by about an inch or so. I'm 5'7", 5'8". But I think you don't see blokes walking around with their all chest and no legs, do you? I'm not sure that's actually true. I think men are sort of big in all proportions, and we all come in different shapes and sizes. So I think there's a little bit of an assumption in that question, and I'm not sure it's entirely true.
Yeah, I think this person is saying that her husband is taller but happens to have a longer upper body, it seems, and a shorter lower body.
It's true. We are all different shapes and sizes, but it would be a generalisation to say, and men have generally this bit of the body is shorter, this bit's bigger. We tend to, and it's going to vary by where you're from in the world, because there's been genetic bottlenecking as we've gone through human evolution, and different traits have been selected in different geographies. Just take the people who live in the frozen north, for example, up in the Arctic. Those Inuit peoples tend to be much shorter on average than people elsewhere in the world. So it comes down to there's going to be a geographical and therefore a genetic selection effect. And also there's a degree of randomness as well as the effect of nutrition, because one of the strongest determinants of how big we get in all proportions is how well we're fed. And I remember this being manifest for me really clearly. I went round to a best friend's house when I was getting ready to get married, because he was going to be my best man. This is about about a month or so before we were going to get married. And I went to visit his parents, who I knew quite well. And they were from Bangladesh originally. He grew up in the UK. He is much taller by a head and shoulders above his parents. And it was so stark because we were standing in the hallway of their house and he said, look at this. And we were laughing at the mirror in the hallway because the mirror was set to be the right height for mum and dad. It showed us our necks downwards. because he's inherited his genes from mum and dad.
Yes.
Therefore, that is the genetic legacy and the genetic potential that they have got, but they never reached it because they grew up in Bangladesh, where actually they're probably prone to more diseases. They were going to be prone to poorer nutrition on average, and these all have an impact on us reaching our developmental potential genetically. So the better the environment you're in, the bigger you're going to be in terms of proportions, and so that's going to have a role as well.
All right. Okay. I hope that answers the question. And then another one for sugar lovers like me, someone asking, why do we crave sugar and junk food? And I'm going to take a shot at this because I've heard a lot of, whenever we speak about cravings, we hear the word dopamine.
Well, the thing is, we're all victims of our genetic ancestry. And what was our genetic ancestry? Our ancestry was Africa. We anatomically modern humans evolved in Africa and left Africa eventually 50 to 70,000 years ago, but we evolved there in relatively recent history, but we've got a nice long genetic history, and that history was one of not knowing where our next meal was coming from. We didn't know if there was going to be dinner tomorrow or breakfast the day after. So what did we do? We evolved for a feast and famine type existence. And that meant that when we had an opportunity to gorge ourselves on calories and then store those calories away as fat, we do that. And we all genetically want to do that. We're programmed to do that. And the hit you get from doing that is, as you say, the neurochemical dopamine, which is a pleasure chemical. It encourages you, it rewards that behavior, because that would have, thousands of years ago, been the difference between life and death. Gorge when you can, store the energy as fat. You will therefore probably live to see another day. Sugar is an instant calorie hit. The minute you have something sugary, your body can instantly absorb it. It's one of the most easy to absorb forms of nutrition. It's quickly mobilized around the body. All cells in all tissues can use glucose, which is in sugar. And then if you have an excess of it, you can very easily send it down the metabolic pathway that makes fat. So therefore, it's an amazing chemical energy currency. The body loves it, the body appreciates its value, and therefore we are programmed to seek it out and go for it whenever we can, because it's instant energy. And unfortunately, in the modern era, where we now have supermarkets, calories on tap, and food manufacturers often stuff foods with sweetness because they know genetically we're programmed to like it, we tend to overindulge in this era, which is why we're seeing an impact on people's waistlines.
And is there a way to avoid the craving or to make the craving go away?
Well, eating a balanced, sensible diet and having regular meal times really helps. The thing that tends to cause us to get tempted is when we get very hungry. They always say to you, never go shopping when you're hungry, never go near junk food when you're hungry, because what will happen is you will tend to gorge on it and overcompensate, because when you're hungry, your ability to resist temptation is at a minimum as well. So the best bet is to plan, if this is going to happen to you and you tend to get tempted by sweet things, plan to have a day where you have lots of protein in your diet at breakfast time, because protein is good for you and it takes longer to break down, and it does liberate sugars as well as amino acids that you need to make protein, and it's therefore a good long-term sustained energy release across the day. And this tends to keep people feeling fuller for longer. So if you give people the same number of calories in a protein-dominated breakfast compared to, say, a carbohydrate-dominated breakfast cereal, high glycemic index breakfast, by mid-morning, the normal breakfast cereal people will be saying, oh, I'm feeling a bit hungry, and they'll reach towards the biscuit jar. Whereas the people who've had more protein tend not to feel hungrier so soon, because that protein is slowly being broken down in their intestines and releasing a slow trickle of calories, which keeps us happy, keeps us supplied, but also keeps hunger at bay.
All right. Okay. So more protein for me then. We are taking more of your science questions for The Naked Scientist. I do see questions on the WhatsApp line. Someone here saying, hi, Dr. Chris, is rainwater directly falling from the rain safe or clean to drink like tap water?
It's really going to depend on where you live. Rain falling in a pristine environment has evaporated from the ocean or a lake. It's blown up into the air. It has condensed from a water vapour, which is gas molecules, into droplets, and then rained down through clean air, and you've caught it, and you're just drinking pure water. Nothing wrong with that. If you were living in the Middle East right now, near Tehran, where there are oil fires and everything raging because of the conflict, the water that comes down will have come down through an atmosphere full of all kinds of chemicals and nasties. And therefore, it's not clear to say, well, that's going to be absolutely fine to drink, because there may be things in there you don't want to drink. So it's going to depend on the environment. And in a pristine environment or a healthy environment, clean, no pollution, that water is going to be absolutely fine. And that's where most of the world gets its drinking water. If you're in a very heavily air polluted area, as that rain comes down through the atmosphere, it will collect a cargo of some of those other chemicals, which will include acids, it will include organic substances and combustion products, other things that shouldn't be there, as well as particles that have been blown up into the air from worn out tyres, brake linings, other products of industry that will also potentially be in the rainwater, and that might not be so good for you. So really, context matters here.
All right. Okay. Yeah. Listen, I mean, it's something I've also wondered all the time. And I've also wondered why rainwater, even if you were to put a clean container and have rainwater rain into the container, the water would never be so clean or clear looking.
Well, it depends on your definition of clean or clear, because does a little bit of stuff dissolved in it count as pure water? Well, to a chemist, no, but to us we would say, well, that's lovely, isn't it? Because when it comes down through the atmosphere, the water also dissolves some of the gases in the atmosphere. It will dissolve oxygen, it will dissolve carbon dioxide and become a bit acidic. If there's sulfur in the air, it will dissolve some of that and make sulfurous acid as well. And anything else that happens to be knocking around in the atmosphere will end up in that water. And it's really a balancing act. And the more of us there are, and the more we pollute the environment, the more we will pollute our drinking water. So really, it's a wake-up call, isn't it?
Absolutely. We are taking more of your questions. Let's take some voice notes.
Hello, good afternoon, Khomotso and the Naked Scientists. I've got one question. Do eyelids get the fat which the body gets if somebody is accumulating fat in the body? Do the eyelids also get the fat? Because I've never seen anybody who maybe struggle to open their eyes because the eyelids are full of their fat, so they are unable to open them.
Great question. Really great question.
Fat eyelids?
And, yep. It's the same thing that people often say, well, if I gain a lot of weight, I have to buy a new shirt and new trousers, but my shoes still fit, my gloves still fit. So fat is not equally distributed around the body. There are some places where we preferentially deposit fat, and that can be healthy fat as well as unhealthy fat. What do I mean by that? Well, there is a distinction. Healthy fat is the kind of fat, if you think about what's on your fingers and palms and on your feet, you walk on fat pads. It's there as a cushion so that you don't smack your feet too hard against the ground and hurt the bones in your feet. You've also got fat pads in your hands, which enable you to have the right texture so you can grip things and also hold things comfortably. That's healthy fat, and it's programmed to have a certain proportion and a certain dimension and not to become grossly fat, whereas other bits of your body can also act as fat stores, and they're a dynamic fat store. So if you have calories to spare, you will put the fat there rather than other places. And if you need to burn off calories, you can release it from there. You won't necessarily release the calories from your hands and feet, making walking and working with your hands uncomfortable. So the eyelids are one of those places where there'll be a little increase in fat as you gain weight, but not very much, because the tissue there is programmed to have not very many fat cells and not to put lots of fat there and not to rob too much fat away from there. So really, it comes down to the fact the body has a genetic map running that cells inherit that genetic control that tells them what sort of cell they are. You're a fat cell. This is when you take on fat. This is when you release fat. And this is how big you should become. And different parts of the body are patterned differently so that our shoes still fit, our gloves still fit, and we can still see where we're going, even though we may gain or lose a lot of weight.
Yeah, listen, thank goodness for that, because I can only imagine struggling to lose weight on your eyelids. I mean, what would that even look like? All right, here's a question that I think comes from a frustrated parent. Someone's asking, why do teenagers tend to sleep later and struggle to wake up early?
Yep. Well, this is a well-known phenomenon. It's not just rebelliousness. Scientists who study circadian biology, that's what it's called, the circadian clock is the body clock, have recognized for many years that there are differences in the way the clock tends to tick and the way the body tends to respond to the clock signals when we're young, teenage, adult, and old age. And you just have to look at the life course to see that when we're very, very old, we tend to need less sleep. We're more prone to waking up early in the morning or not going to bed till quite late at night. Babies, on the other hand, when they're first born, spend most of their time asleep. And then things improve when they're kids, and then teenagers, there's another shift, and they stay up very late, they sleep in for a long period of time. It's development. And the brain is changing, and the brain continues to change until we're about into our mid-20s. And people have only more recently recognised that the brain continues to age and change and mature well into our 20s relatively recently. But those changes, that reprogramming, is happening under the influences of hormones, which go along with puberty. That's under the control of a clock, effectively, as well, because that comes on at a certain age, usually in early teenage, doesn't it? But that has an impact on the way the brain responds to time signals, the way the brain is growing and maturing. And as a result, we tend to shift our sleep-wake cycles around, and we tend to shift when we're better at doing things from one time of the day to another as we're growing up in that way. And superimposed on all of that is the fact that genetically, and we keep talking about genes in this program, but genetically, we are also programmed to be one of two so-called chronotypes. There are some people in the population who are very good at getting up early. They're called larks. And there are some people who hate getting up early and like to stay up half the night. They're called owls. And there are different genetic makeups of the genes in the body clock that make those behaviours manifest. So what you see are those as the underlying effect, and then the effects of things like hormones and like ageing superimposed on top of that.
So it's not just that they've been staying up until the wee hours of the morning and binge watching Netflix.
But why do they want to do that? Because they are being reprogrammed by their hormones, the maturation of their brain, and a different response to their body clock for that period of their time when the hormone levels are in great flux. And that tends to make us behave differently at different stages of our lives. And teenagerdom is just one of them.
Ah, okay. Well, I do see many of your questions still coming through, but let's take a call. Zonia, you have a question about galaxies. Go ahead.
Hello, Chris. My question is, radio galaxies existed at the beginning during Big Bang time, when a mass soup of ionized energy in things. Why do they still exist now when Higgs particle already allowed planets and stars and matter to grow?
Okay, so we can just summarise this question into, well, when did galaxies come along? How did they evolve? And why do they look the way they do today? Well, we have to wind the clock back about 13.8 billion years to when we think the universe first popped into existence. That's our best guesstimate so far of the age of the universe. And it began, based on the measurements and the modelling we have, as a very tiny but extremely powerful point release of energy. That was the Big Bang. This blew up incredibly quickly. In fractions of seconds, the universe became all of a sudden enormous. But it was still so energetic that it was incredibly hot. And it was just a soup of energy. And it had to grow more and cool down enough before particles could appear, and those particles could then coalesce to form physical particles like atoms, and then those atoms could actually begin to form things like hydrogen, which was the bulk of that Big Bang, helium, there's a little bit of that made, which is element number 2 in the periodic table, and then lithium, which is element number 3. There was a little trace of that made by the Big Bang. Once you've got particles, then you can have gravity pulling those masses together, and because of random fluctuations, we think some parts of the galaxy just happen to have a bit more gravity than others. Not the galaxy, the early universe began to have a bit more gravity than others. This pulled aggregations of particles together into certain places, and so from something that was very smooth and homogeneous, we went to something lumpy. And out of those lumps then condense galaxies, and within them stars. And this is very much a random process, which has then continued to evolve to this day, where you use the effects of gravity and the aggregations of material, which just happened to be random to start with, but that gave shape and structure to the evolving universe once it had begun to form. And many of the galaxies we have with us today are very, very old. You know, our galaxy is pretty old. Our sun's already about 5 billion years old. Our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, is probably 12 billion years old. So we're in a very old bit of space here. We're not at the centre of the universe, but we're in a very old bit of space. And so the structure we see continues to evolve to this day, but it was very much the legacy of how that Big Bang unfolded right from the early days.
All right. Well, look, next time we need to speak about why time feels like it's going so fast when we're having fun, because we have run out of time. Dr. Chris, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for taking all the questions. Of course, this is the conversation that we have with the Naked Scientist on Mondays right here on 702 afternoons, and that was Dr. Chris Smith.
Year in, year out, we're fixing tires faster than a Formula One pit crew. My team is on top of things like tire whisperers. If an unforeseen accident were to happen in my workshop, at least I've got My Way business insurance to keep the wheels turning.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
Welcome to Nando's Taste-Demonials.
Real reviews by real people. Today's testimonial comes from Jeff in Kempton Park. Now, Jeff seems to be a man of very few words. We've asked him to use his few words to tell us what he thinks of our flame-grilled peri-peri full chicken with any two sharing sides for $2.83. Jeff?
Nice.
Well, there you have it. When the meal is such a mouthful, you really only need a few words, I guess. Nando's. Oh, what a place.
Gauteng is currently experiencing high water consumption. To avoid water interruptions, residents are urged to use water sparingly to allow equitable supply. Act now, save water. Every drop counts. This message is brought to you by the Department of Water and Sanitation, Rand Water, Gauteng Provincial Government, City of Johannesburg, City of Tshwane, and City of Ekurhuleni.
This does bring us to the Monday installment of 702 Afternoons. Thank you so much for tuning in, and thank you for choosing us. Coming up is Afternoon Drive with Thabo Sholemashao in for John Pullman. Good afternoon.